The dangers of being a stepfather. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you who are new here, I am the real Rayhan, and here on this channel I tell real life stories about different experiences that I've had throughout my life. Hopefully these stories help you to make better decisions, help you to avoid some of the pitfalls and the mistakes that I've made during my life. So what are the dangers of being a step parent? A lot of you don't know that once upon a time, the real Rayhan was a husband, was a stepfather as well. I haven't talked very much, if at all, about that particular subject here on my channel because I've been kind of focusing on a different story arc. But to give myself more things to speak to you guys about, I've decided to introduce this particular topic here to the channel, and this is a very personal topic. These videos, I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to make them members only videos because these are very personal stories to myself. Stories, the other stories I've told you here on the channel, hey, I don't mind you guys knowing those things, having your opinions about them, but this particular topic is it's very personal. The story that I'm going to tell you in this video is also very personal. So, what are the dangers of being a stepfather? I'm going to tell you a story I experienced as a stepfather and a husband. And I'm picking this particular story because at the conclusion of this story, I knew immediately that the young lady that I was married to was not the right person to be married to, was not the right person to have children with. Okay. To give you guys proper context of what you can expect, for those of you who are into astrology, I'll give you the rundown. I am a Capricorn sun, I'm a Capricorn moon, and I'm a Cancer ascendant. The young lady that I was married to, I'll say my ex wife from now on, she was a Cancer sun, an Aries moon, and a Gemini ascendant. Okay. Now, if you guys know anything about Capricorns, we value structure, organization, discipline, hard work, responsibility, and we're incredibly ambitious. All right. I'll talk about her when I get to that point in the story. All right. In this particular story, I'll talk about an issue that took place with my stepdaughter at the time and a lack of accountability from my ex wife. All right. So I want to say my stepdaughter at the time, she was 7 years old. Now, during this time, there was about a 2 week, maybe a week and a half, a 2 week period that I started to notice that there was a change in some of her daily hygiene habits. My stepdaughter had started going into the restroom, using it, and leaving the restroom without flushing the toilet. Now, I'm talking about whatever came out of her body would be left in the toilet. Now, as somebody who's very clean, who's very organized, structured, disciplined, um, somebody who values good hygiene, this was a problem to me. Okay. After about a week of seeing this issue, I went to my ex wife, who is her mother. Now, full disclosure, my ex wife brought a child into our marriage. Okay. Just one. And that's what obviously made me a step parent. She didn't have the best relationship with the child's father. He had remarried after cheating on her, I believe. He had remarried another young lady. He had a child with her. So they still had like a co-parenting situation, but just they didn't have the best relationship. Um, so what ultimately took place, as I said, for probably about a week and a half, I had noticed that my stepdaughter, every time she would use the restroom, every time without fail, she was not flushing the toilet behind her. Whatever it was that came out of her body would still be there. Very unsanitary, needless to say. After about the first week of noticing this, because I had to kind of observe this thing take place a few times for me to understand that this is a habit. This is an ongoing problem. It's not a she just forgot today. It's every single time. I knew there was a problem. So after about a week, I went to her mom with the issue, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm not sure if you noticed or if you're aware at all, but your daughter, I refer to her by name. I won't do so in this video for personal and privacy reasons." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm not sure if you noticed, but your daughter, over the last week, maybe week and a half now, I've noticed that every single time she goes in the restroom, she's not flushing the toilet behind her. Like whatever she does is still in the toilet after she leaves the restroom. You think you might want to say something to her about that? Maybe figure out a way to address that issue. I don't want to say it because I'm just a step parent and I'm the opposite gender as her. If I say something to her about it, it'll probably embarrass her. You know what I mean? She'll probably feel somewhat ashamed of herself. But because you're her mother, she's more familiar with you. Obviously, you're her biological parent. You're expected to correct things that she does wrong. And I think she'll receive it a lot better coming from you. Now, my ex wife, as I said, she is an Aries moon. For those of you who understand astrology, Aries, as your moon sign, is a very difficult sign to deal with. It's almost like dealing with an unruly teenager. So Aries is ruled by the planet Mars. The planet Mars is a fiery planet. Okay. So people who are Aries moons typically have a temper. They're very impulsive. They're very egotistical, very competitive, combative, argumentative. Um, and typically, if you tell or suggest to an Aries moon person things that they should do, actions that they should take, even if it's to their benefit, they're intentionally going to do the opposite of what you suggested just to spite you. That's typically how they are. My ex-wife was an Aries moon. Okay. So when I brought this matter to her attention, her immediate response was, why are you bringing this to my attention? Like if she goes in the bathroom and she forgets to flush the toilet, I mean, you can flush it. Damn, you don't have to tell me every time she forgets to do something. She's a child. Children forget to use the bathroom. Like you can just do it yourself. Wrong answer. Okay. As I told you, I am a Capricorn. I value structure, organization, and discipline. My immediate response to my ex-wife at the time was, okay, let's back up for a second. I came to you respectfully about what I believe needs to take place so that it doesn't damage the emotions or the feelings of your daughter. Okay. It's not going to be good if I say something to her because I'm a man. I'm larger, my voice is deeper. It can come off intimidating, okay, especially because I'm not her biological father. Now, I understand that you and her father don't have the best relationship, but I am not going to be responsible for disciplining a child that is not mine when there's a biological parent here in the house to handle that responsibility, okay? So, you can get on the same page with her father and make sure that the discipline that's being provided for this child is the same in both houses. Or if you don't want to do that, you need to accept the fact that you are going to be the primary responsible parent for disciplining this child and correcting things like this in this house. I will not be responsible for it, okay? At this time, we had a daughter together. I'm like, yo, my focus is on the upbringing of my child. Now, I'll discipline my daughter if need be, but I'm not disciplining another man's child. Either that man can do it or the biological parent in this house can do it. And I also need you to understand, I really didn't appreciate the fact that you stated what you stated in the manner that you did. I need you to understand that this is my house. Okay. I acquired this long before I met you. Okay. It's our home, but this is my house. Your name isn't on the mortgage. I invited you and your daughter to live here with me because you and I were expecting a child at the time. My daughter was already born. But if I invited you here, I would imagine that you would treat my house with a little bit more respect. Maybe you would treat it with the same respect that you would treat your own home, since this is our home collectively. Okay. Now, if you don't address this matter, the next time I see it, I'm going to address it. Okay. And that's not going to be good for anybody in the house. She kind of frowned her face up like, whatever. Remember what I just mentioned. An Aries moon person will do the opposite of what you suggest, even if it's in the best interest of them and everybody else. They will do the opposite to spite you, just to show you that nobody tells them what to do. This was my wife's or ex-wife's general attitude. Me being a Capricorn, I'm also very analytical, observant, and I'm a problem solver. So when I realized that this was a problem, I say maybe after the first week, I took active steps to try to figure out what the problem was, why it was, and present a solution. My stepdaughter had an iPad. Okay. If you guys know about iPads, they can connect to Wi Fi. And on her iPad, she had the Netflix app. So she would watch all her little kiddie shows on her iPad via the Netflix app. No big deal because a lot of kids do this. But what the problem became is that the iPad would go with her everywhere. So she would come to the dinner table with her iPad and she would freaking sit it on the table while she's eating her dinner, watching her shows. She would come into our bedroom if we're watching adult programming. And by adult programming, I mean if we're watching a show that's rated TVMA, something like Power or Game of Thrones, a show, Spartacus, a show that has nudity and strong sexual content would be considered TVMA. That's adult programming. A 7-year old doesn't have any business coming into a bedroom or any place where that type of show is being watched by adults. But she would do so because she had her iPad, okay? And she would just cuddle up on her mother because she needed some affection. But whole time, we have to put what we're watching on hold while she has her iPad and she's still able to enjoy her show. So when I started to identify this, I also noticed that she probably takes this iPad into the bathroom with her. The reason she's not flushing the toilet behind her is because she's probably sitting on the toilet watching the iPad and she's so engrossed in what she's watching that when she's done using the bathroom, she just gets up and leaves. That's what I came up with, and it took me a few days to kind of figure it out. So I said I need to fix this problem. Here's what I'm going to do, or here's what I did. When I got a hold of her iPad while she was at school, I deleted the Netflix app off of her iPad. I also deleted the Wi Fi network off of the iPad. Now, some of you are thinking that may be harsh because she's got shows that she wants to watch. While I did take that action, what I did was I replaced them. I put a 32-inch TV, it was my older 32-inch HD TV. I put that into her bedroom. Um, I went and bought her to GameStop. I went and bought her a some Nintendo, some Nintendo video game console. I want to say it's a Nintendo Wii, quite possibly. I bought her a Nintendo Wii and I hooked it up to the 32-inch TV. And I put the Wi-Fi network on the Nintendo Wii. Now the Nintendo Wii already had the Netflix app on there, so I'm like, boom, problem solved. Now she's got a TV in her room. She's got a video game console. I think I bought her like 5 or 6 video games to play on the console, and I installed the Wi-Fi on it. So, and the Netflix app was already there. So in my mind, I fixed the problem. Now she can watch all of her favorite Netflix shows on Netflix on a 32-inch TV, a bigger screen than her iPad. The only caveat is she can no longer take Netflix with her throughout the house to distract her from doing the tasks at hand, such as flushing the toilet when you leave the restroom. Okay. And I'm going to be honest with you. When I did all these things, it cost me a little bit of money. But when I did that, when I took those actions, I felt kind of good. I felt pretty proud because I went to her mother previously and the response I got was unacceptable. So, me being a problem solver, identified the problem, addressed the problem, and found a resolution. All right. So, I went to bed that Friday night feeling pretty damn good about myself. Now, Saturday, I'm off of work on Saturday. I don't have to wake up early, which was usually about 5 o'clock in the morning. So I slept in, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was around 8:30 a.m. Could have even been 9 a.m. I'm not, I can't remember, but I slept in. I wake up Saturday, and what's the first thing that we got to do as men when we wake up in the morning? We got to go to the bathroom. We got to use the bathroom. So I go into the restroom. Um, I turn the light on in the restroom. Excuse me. And in the toilet, I see everything that, has come out of this, 7-year old's body. The first thing I did, excuse me one second. First thing I did was I come out of the bathroom into the hallway. I turned to the right, looking towards her bedroom because her bedroom was at the opposite end of the hallway from the master bedroom. The bathroom was in the middle. I call her out of her room. I call her by name. She comes to the hallway where the bathroom is, and I say to her, I say, "Hey, listen, I'm not entirely sure what's been going on with you or what's changed over the last week and a half, but I've noticed that every time I come in the bathroom behind you, whatever it is that you've done in the bathroom is still in the toilet, and you're not flushing the toilet behind you. Do you understand that that is very unsanitary and that nobody wants to see what has come out of your body in the toilet when they walk into the restroom? Okay. So I don't know whatever you need to do to fix it, but moving forward, anytime you go in the restroom, before you come out of the restroom, you need to make sure that you flush the toilet so that there's nothing in it. You need to make sure that you properly clean your hands before you open the bathroom door to come out. Okay. Now, again, I'm still at this point, I'm handling it the right way, but I'm still a little bit confused because she can't take Netflix into the restroom with her anymore. She couldn't. So why is she still forgetting to flush the toilet? You know what I mean? So I went through all these active steps to correct this problem, and it presented itself continuously. So when I asked her, did she understand everything that I just said? She says, okay, and she goes back into her room to continue to watch Netflix on the 32-inch TV. Okay, so that the TV, the video game console, it was serving its purpose, but it didn't correct the problem. I go downstairs to the living room area, have my breakfast. I turn on the television down there just to have, something on TV. Maybe sit down, watch an episode of some show that I probably was binging at the time just to collect myself for whatever errands or tasks I needed to take care of that Saturday while I was off of work. I want to say maybe an hour, hour and a half passed, maybe two. I got to use the restroom again. So I go upstairs to the shared bathroom. And I'm the kind of person where I'll go in the bathroom, close the door, turn the light on, and then turn around to go to the bathroom. I know most people probably turn the light on first before they step in. I don't know why I do things differently. I just always have done it that way. Um, so I go in the restroom. Um, I close the door behind me. So the restroom's now pitch black. I turn the light on. Then I turn around. I whip out in front of the toilet. I'm ready to go. And as soon as I look into the toilet, I see everything that has come out of this young lady's body in the toilet once again. And I've already spoken to her about this not 2 hours ago. So at this point, I am pissed. And when I say I'm pissed, I mean I'm seeing red. And for those of you that don't know, when people say I was seeing red, that is not just a figure of speech. You can actually become so upset and so enraged that everything you see is in the color red. That's what was taking place. When I see it, I immediately scream out to her, "Get your little ass in this hallway, come in this bathroom, flush this goddamn toilet. I just talked to you about this shit probably an hour and a half ago. I don't understand why this is a problem." Now, it was louder than that. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm not somebody who typically speaks loud. Me having to elevate my voice is something that it usually doesn't happen, but because it was happening on this particular day, it drew everybody's attention. So now she comes running out of her bedroom to the hallway in front of the bathroom, and she looks startled. Okay. Her mother, my ex-wife or wife at the time, she comes out of our bedroom and she stands in the doorway of our bedroom, and she's kind of standing at attention, like, because they're both shocked. They've never heard my voice project the way that it did. Remember, I was seeing red. Okay. So when I come out of the restroom, because I didn't flush the toilet, when I come out of the restroom, eh, don't try to be funny either. I didn't use the bathroom yet. I I said I whipped out. I put everything back, and then I came out of the restroom. I was that pissed, right? No pun intended. So I come out of the restroom, and you could probably feel the rage radiating off of me. And she's standing there. She's looking at me, and she's kind of startled, like, and I'm like, I literally just talked to you about this 2 hours ago. I don't know what the problem is. Get your ass in there, flush the goddamn toilet." She looks at her mother, who's standing in the doorway of the master bedroom. And I look at her, I'm like, what are you looking at her for? Do what I told you to do. So she kind of like starts like tiptoeing past me to go into the restroom so that she can flush the toilet. And then she comes out and she kind of like goes back to her bedroom, right? She looks, as I expected, ashamed, startled, embarrassed. The thing that I was trying to avoid when I spoke to her mother about it. I turn around and I look at her mother. I'm still pissed. I'm still seeing red. And she's kind of standing there and she's like, "Well, yeah, so she got in trouble at her dad's house because she stopped the toilet up with too much toilet paper and she got in trouble over there. So that's why it's a problem here in this house." And I'm like, "So wait a minute. When I spoke to you about this a few days ago and asked you to have a conversation with your daughter to correct this issue, to avoid what just took place, not only did you not do what I asked you to do, you refused to do it, and you knew the reason why it was taking place to begin with? Seeing red." Okay. So she's kind of down, she's kind of looking like I've made my point. Like you've caught me, you've made your point. It's no reason to continue to move forward. I'm like, no, hell no. Speaking of, she stopped the toilet up at her father's house with too much toilet paper, and it made me instantly go back into my mind and think, over the last week and a half or two, every time I've seen what's come out of her body in the toilet, I've absolutely never seen a single sheet of toilet paper in there. Never. I'm like, is she not wiping herself? Like, is she like doing all of this in the toilet, but she's not wiping herself? Mm-mm. Oh, she's wiping herself. Let me tell you what she's doing with the toilet paper that she's wiping herself. She's taking it, handfuls of it, toilet paper that she just used to wipe her behind, wipe, everywhere else that, girls need to wipe when they use the restroom. She's taking that toilet paper by the hands and she's running out of the bathroom and she's hiding it in different places in her bedroom. You can imagine when I came to the realization that this is what this young lady was doing. Mind you, I'm still seeing red from the fact that I just had to talk to you about the bathroom and then you go and do it again, and now I realize what you're actually doing with the toilet paper. Okay, hiding toilet paper that she's used to wipe herself in different corners of her bedroom and underneath her bed, all kinds of places, just beyond trifling, right? Just beyond trifling. Now, mind you, my daughter at the time was maybe 15, 16 months. My daughter is walking. You know that children that are 15, 16 months, how do they explore the world? They explore the world through their mouth. Everything that they pick up, they want to bite on it so they can chew on it, satisfy the teething that's going on. Everything goes into their mouth. Plus, little children are not hygienically responsible. They don't know about washing hands or don't put this in your mouth. They don't get that. They don't. So imagine me now coming to the realization that this little girl, 7 years old, by the way, is wiping herself and hiding the toilet paper throughout her bedroom, where my daughter, who is now walking, can access this stuff, can possibly touch something that she's touched after wiping her behind and not washing her hands. And now my daughter's touched it and maybe it's putting her hands in her. When I say seeing red, I might have been seeing red times 100 at that point. So when I came to this realization, I'm like, well, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. You can't be telling me that this is what's going on. I knew at that point, I knew at that point that this marriage was over. I knew at that point that this was the wrong person to have children with. This was the wrong person to marry. Like, being an Aries moon is already a huge red flag. But knowing that all of this was taking place and how unsanitary it is, and you didn't correct the issue when you knew what the problem was, is huge. It's a huge red flag. And I used to always wonder, why does this child's bedroom smell like a hamster cage? You know what I mean? Like a small feral creature. You know what I mean? If you notice, if you don't clean a hamster's cage or a rabbit cage or any of those little small feral creatures that people keep as pets, the cage will produce a smell. That's kind of what her bedroom smelled like. And I never understood why it smelled that way, because she had to take a shower mandatory every day at 7 p.m. So I was like, yo, what? I don't get it. Like, is it dirty clothes? Like, what is it that is causing her bedroom to smell this way? Now we know it's the toilet paper that she's been wiping her behind with, hiding in her bedroom. Now, let's be clear. Am I blaming the child for what she was doing? No. I think to a certain extent, what she was doing made sense because of the consequences that she may have faced at her father's house when she stopped the toilet up. And in her mind, she thought this was a viable solution because she's not old enough to understand hygiene, pathogens, viruses, bacteria, all of these different things that can spread through fecal matter, through urine, all of these different things that are absorbed in the toilet paper that she was using. She doesn't understand this stuff. This is why it was her mother's responsibility to explain it to her. This is why I was so upset at the fact that her mother is old enough to understand these things and chose not to explain it to her because she wanted to make a point and say, nobody tells me what to do. And it was always, you know what I mean? I'm a parent. I've been a parent for 7 years. You only just now became a parent, so you don't know what you're talking about. But just because you got 7 years of experience being a parent doesn't mean it is good experience. It doesn't mean that you do it better than somebody who has 1 year of experience or no experience, to be honest with you. Like, you're very rebellious, egotistical, and somewhat absent minded when it comes to the things that children need. They need structure, they need organization. If they realize that they can get away with things because one parent, like you, wants to do the opposite of what the responsible parent, me, is suggesting you do, they will take advantage of it. Not saying that that's what this little girl was doing, but children will operate that way. Anyway, I'm pissed. So after I came to that realization, I got to leave the house. I walk out of the house. I go walking around the neighborhood. I think I probably walked something like 5 miles because I had to cool off, because that's when I say I was seeing red. That's how pissed off I was. Not just at the bathroom, but now the fact that I've discovered what she was doing with this toilet paper. During the time that I cool off, I come back home. I'm like, look, I'm about to relax. You need to leave. You need to go over one of your friends' house. You need to go do something, because I'm so upset at you. When I say you, I'm talking about my ex-wife. I don't really want you in my sight right now. Like, all everything that I just processed, which is what I'm explaining to you here in this video, it was all being processed during that time that I was walking. I'm like, you need to go do something. Go to your mom's house, go to your best friend's house, go run an errand, go do something, because I don't want you in my sight right now. Like I told you, I knew at this point that this relationship, this marriage was over with. This was not the right person to be with. She leaves the house. She takes her daughter with her. She gets on the phone with her uncle. Now, her father, he had passed away, and her uncle kind of took on the responsibility of kind of being the father figure um to her. Okay. Her uncle was younger than me. I think he's like 3 or 4 years younger than me. She gets on the phone with her uncle and she explains to him what happened. Her version. Okay. She explains her version to her uncle. Excuse me. I want to say probably about a couple hours later, after they get done with their conversation, because it got to a point where she actually did come back home, but instead of coming in the house, she just parked her car in front of the house and just sat in the car. I assume she was on the phone with her uncle at that time. Probably about an hour and a half later, my phone rings. I pick it up. It's her uncle calling me. He was like, "Yeah, man. So, check this out. Did you just yell at my niece, my whatever the relationship is? He like, did you just yell at my niece or something like that because she was forgetting to flush the toilet or something like that?" I said, "Hey, first off, champ, let me explain something to you. Number one, don't ever call my phone asking me about what's going on in my house. Nigga, you don't live here. You don't run shit here. And I for damn sure ain't afraid of you. You feel me? Now, since you called my phone and asked me that question, I already know what I guess your niece, I get, because my ex-wife was also his niece, but I think her daughter was also his niece too. I don't know what the relation. I don't know all the terminology, but I'm like, yeah. So since you called my phone, I already know that your niece, she didn't tell you the full thing. So yeah, I did yell at your niece's daughter for not flushing the toilet. I also yelled at your niece because I asked your niece to address the issue and she refused to do so just out of spite, even though she knew the reason why your other niece, her daughter, was not behaving the way that she should have behaved. So yeah, I yelled at both of them. Did she also tell you that your niece, that that her daughter was taking that same toilet paper that she was using to wipe her ass with and hiding it in my house in different corners in her bedroom, underneath her bed, in her closet, and all these other places? And he's like, wait, what? You tell hold on. She was you telling me she was wiping her butt and she was hiding the toilet paper throughout the bedroom? I'm like, you asked me that question as though you didn't understand what I said, or as though it's the first time you've heard it, which would be a strong indicator that your niece did not tell you the full story. Then he was like, nah, she ain't say nothing to me about that part. She just said that you yelled at both of them because her daughter was forgetting to flush the toilet. I said, bro, I didn't even want to be the one to talk to her daughter about the issue. I asked her to do it. She refused to do so because she didn't want to feel like somebody was telling her what to do. That's your niece. You should know her better than me. You should already know how she operates. So do me a favor. When you call your niece back, when we get off the phone, you need to mention to her what I just said to you and see what her response is. Oh, yeah, I ain't know that. Okay. And I took from that he very much felt like, yeah, if he was in the same situation, he would have reacted the exact same way. He calls her out on it. Of course, she never tells me what it was, and I never talked to him again. Like I said, don't ever call my house or call my phone about an issue that's taking place in my house. I'm the man in this house. I'm gonna be the one to enforce and to do all of these things. Like, don't ever do that. You know what I mean? Which was another issue with my ex-wife. Um, she doesn't know how to accept responsibility. Okay, she doesn't know how to be accountable for her actions. She would much rather, and as I told you, she is a Cancer sun, an Aries moon, and a Gemini ascendant. Cancer sun is typically, cancers are glutton for being a victim. Okay, they're emotionally manipulative, but they like to manipulate you emotionally so that you are empathetic towards their situation. They like to, instead of accepting personal accountability and responsibility for their actions, they would rather play the role of the victim and make the other person the villain so that you feel sorry for them, and then they use your empathy or sympathy towards them so that they can manipulate you. And to her family, I was a villain. She told everybody her version of the story, and she left out all the critical details, such as where the toilet paper was going, the fact that I'd asked her to have that conversation, and she refused to do so. So to her family, I was a villain. Like I said, I didn't care at that point because I already knew that our relationship, that marriage was over. Truth be told, it should not have been. Had she addressed that issue the proper way, who knows how things would have turned out. But because I saw that there was so much difficulty in cooperation coming from this person, simply because in her mind, ain't nobody gonna tell me how to raise my child. Ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do. I was like, this is not it. This is definitely not the person that I'm supposed to be married to. This is not the person that I'm supposed to have children with. This is not the person I'm supposed to have a family with. You know what I mean? So ultimately what happened, we divorced. Um, but it was a few other things that took place after that. But this was the event that let me know that this is the place where this marriage is going. We ended up divorcing. I had prolonged it for as long as I could because I'd always saw myself being a father who's living in the same house with my children. So I kind of, I put it off for as long as I could because I didn't want to be separate from my children. I did not want my children to be living in a different house as me. That was not the vision that I had in mind when I had children. So I put it off as long as I can, or as long as I could. Didn't stop it from happening. We still ended up getting divorced, and now I have to sit back and look um, at this situation, knowing that the reason my children don't live in the same house with me as their father is due to the behavior of a child that did not belong to their father. So it's incredibly unfair to my children. This child's behavior also caused her father and her stepmother on his side to also get divorced because he wasn't addressing the issue. Now, with him, he wasn't addressing the issue because of his work schedule. So she was home more often with the stepmother than with her biological father. So they ended up getting divorced also. And again, this is not a bad child. She's not a bad kid. You just have two parents that created her that were very irresponsible in parenting and co-parenting together, you know? And I may a few years after that, when my daughter was, now like 4, 5 years old, I received a phone call from my ex-wife, like, can you please talk to your daughter? "Mm, my daughter? You mean our daughter?" She's like, yeah, she done made my daughter run in the bathroom crying. Like, what happened? Did she punch her? She's like, no, she gonna tell my daughter, because they was arguing about something. She gonna tell my daughter that you the reason that my daddy don't live in this house no more. And my daughter ran in the bathroom, locked herself in, and started crying. I'm like, tenfold. Um, I will not be having a conversation with my daughter about what she said to your daughter. My daughter is old enough to remember what she saw and heard in that house. She's old enough to remember who was the catalyst in a lot of the issues that took place in that house. And if she feels as though your daughter was the one at fault and she voiced it, she has each and every right to do so. I will not be correcting her for saying what was on her mind or what was on her heart. She clearly misses her father and doesn't like the fact that her father does not live in the same house, that she's not able to cuddle up underneath me anymore. And she realizes, in her perspective, who is at fault. Deep down inside, I think you do too. And I'm not blaming your daughter, I'm blaming you. Please refrain from calling me when my daughter does such things, okay? If she's voicing how she feels, she has each and every right to do so. And I wrapped up that phone call. But I say all of this to say the dangers of being a stepfather is, number one, that stepchild will always be the priority of the biological parent. You will never be number one. They will always defend that child, even if that child is wrong, okay? Um, and if you have children by someone who already has children, that increases the danger, because if that relationship doesn't work out, you can lose access, regular access to your children. A lot of things that you saw yourself doing with your children, in terms of watching television shows with them, a lot of stuff that you saw yourself doing in the same house as your children, it'll be in jeopardy. So, yeah, that's that's a deep and very personal story that I've decided to share with you guys here on my YouTube channel. I'm trying my best not to get really emotional, so I will end this video as quickly as I possibly can. Um, so if you guys enjoyed this video, need you guys to do me a favor and smash the like button. Um, and if you guys are new to the channel and if you're new to the channel and you guys are you enjoy stories like this one, do me a favor and go ahead and subscribe. I do ask that you turn on your notifications so you'll be notified when I upload the next video here on the channel. And as always, I want to thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.